Hey y'all, welcome back to Homestead. I'm in the kitchen today and let me show you what we are doing. So, we've been foraging, we've been talking about herbs and plants that you can use around the homestead, and yesterday I went to my grandmother's yard. She's got a beautiful redbud tree. If y'all have ever seen these, they are gorgeous trees that bloom in the springtime. Hers has hung on for the past 2 to 3 weeks with blossoms. And I was looking it up, and these redbud trees that have pink purplish blooms are actually edible. The blooms are. So I have gathered this many blooms. I'm going to say probably 3 cups. That's the color. It's gorgeous. These are actually edible. So what have they been used for? You can use these as garnishes for salads. You can make jelly out of this. You can make syrup. Now when you boil redbud blossoms, the liquid will turn yellow, not purple, as you would think. So I wrote down some information here that I found online about what they've been used for. Apparently they are very high in vitamin C and antioxidants. Anything with a lot of color like this usually is. People use it for salads, garnish, crackers even. You can make cakes, garnish, muffins, pastries, whatever, bread. People actually pickle these, and they can put these in vinegar, in the jelly and syrup. So, in folklore, the redbud tree, the Cherokee called it the liar tree because it would always bloom before spring was over with. You can look all this up on the history of it. And people will use this today around the homestead. You can make iced tea with this. Garden and Gun had a recipe. Their magazine, their website had a recipe for iced tea. You could do hot tea. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to make jelly. I'm not going to make jam. I've got tons of that on the shelf with muscadine jam that we did last fall. I don't need that. So I'm just going to dry this. Now these are so fine that I'm just going to put these on a baking sheet. So I've washed these here. You're going to get the stems. That's okay. And they are so fine. It's really worse than the violets that we did. We've done lyre leaf sage, we've done violets, we've done dandelions, purple nettle, and now we've got the redbud. So take it and take your hand and spread it across the tray, just like that. You want a lot of air in between all of that. And I'm going to let these dry for a week or two. You can put these in the dehydrator at 95 degrees. Would not take long, as fine as these are. But I'm just going to let these air dry because I need my dehydrator for other things. And that's what we're going to talk about next. So once these are dry, you can put them in a mason jar. Look at that, how pretty. And you can use these for tea, iced tea, whatever you so choose. So we're going to have redbud blossoms. Guys, make sure you're not allergic to any of this stuff. And there's, you've got to be careful with what you're foraging. But I think it's neat how much we're learning is edible on a homestead. Things that you wouldn't ever think were edible before. So we've got redbud blossoms. Cool. So next, let's talk about what I have been harvesting here at the house. All right, next thing. So I've shown you our spring gardens. The temps have gotten pretty warm here in central Alabama, and I have been harvesting radishes. You need to get those before temps get warm because your radishes will split on the bottom. They'll fork and bifurcate, and they're not really any good after that. The texture's not as good. The quality's not as good. So I have been harvesting radishes day in and day out. And I've got a huge stock pot in my fridge full of radishes, and I always would take the greens, pop them off, throw them to the chickens, and then keep the radishes. But this year I'm doing something different, and I want y'all to see what. So you can preserve radish greens in many ways. And guys, I've tried to eat these raw. I've used them as a salad, and they're very bitter and pungent. It just is not that great to me, okay, to eat these raw. A lot of people like it, but they're edible, and I feel like it's such a waste throwing all this away because this come off of like 5 radishes, this many greens. So yesterday, what I did was dehydrate these. These are all radish greens. This is probably 9 to 10 cups full of radish greens in this quart mason jar. And they smell totally different when they're dehydrated and processed than they do raw. So you guys pay attention to this, okay? They're chock full of vitamins and nutrients. This is what they look like, dehydrated. What I did was chop them up before I dehydrated them. It goes a whole lot quicker, okay? I put this on 135. That's kind of high heat. You could go 95 degrees at 1 hour to an hour and a half they're done. You've got to stand here and watch it because the heat's so high if you're going to do it at 135. But they're dry as a chip, and there's that. Now, you can dehydrate radish chips, but I don't want to do that. What I have been doing and what I did last year was blanch my radishes and freeze them. That's what I have done because I like roasted radishes. We've eaten radishes fresh, the whole 9 yards. So what I have in my freezer here, here's one small bag. You can see you're going to get water in here with these radishes. They have such a high water content. This is blanched radishes. Wash them, cut the ends off, boil them for 3 minutes on high, put them in ice bath for 3 minutes, put them in here. And then when you want to roast these, let them thaw, put them in the oven. A little olive oil, sea salt, pepper, it's great. I love roasted root vegetables. If you put a sweet potato with that, potatoes, carrots, parsnips, whatever, it's great. Even turnips, very, very good. So we know about radishes, we know how to do that, but let's talk about the greens some more. So what I did yesterday, this was such painstaking, and I've got silicone mats on the way. I've only got 2 trays right now with the fruit leather trays for my Presto that will hold these chopped greens, and it would have taken months to do it whole leaf, dehydrating those. So I said, look, this is not going fast enough. What I dehydrated this for was I wanted to be able to put this in smoothies. I said, okay, that's good. And I've got it right here. If I wanted to put it in a tea, if I wanted to put it in whatever, soup, I've got it right here. I thought, wait a minute, I've got freezer space. Let's freeze these. So let me show you. I did 6 packages, and these are chock full. It's at least 2 cups full in this little bag. We're going to use these quick, and I froze them. Probably need to blanch these leaves beforehand, but I'm going to tell you, it was such trouble trying to wash these. This is worse than turnip greens, trying to get these clean. It's something about these fine little furry radish leaves that I said I'm not going to blanch them. I washed them probably 3 times, and including in hot water. That's kind of like blanching, and so I just put them in here afterwards. So let me show you what we're going to do with that. So all that is having this same thing that you could do smoothies and all that. But I tried something last night that was divine, so I want y'all to try this with radishes. So I've got my radishes here, some fresh ones that I put overnight in here that I have not cut yet. I've got beautiful little cherry bells. Cut off each end to preserve these. You want to do the stem and the root. Save that, throw it to your chickens or your farm animals. Like that, put it in boiling water 3 minutes, ice bath 3 minutes, freezer, and you're good to go. So there's that. Now, if you want to make radish chips for the dehydrator, thin little slices, I would get a mandolin to cut these with. Be careful with your fingers, though. You could do radish chips, but I like them roasted. So about the greens, let's talk about these. Guys, I tried something last night that was the best thing that I have ever tried, and my husband even loved it, and I'll show you in a minute. So get you a wad of freshly washed radish greens. That's what these are. Just like we're going to put them in the dehydrator. Wad them up like that, and we're going to chop. And you want this as fine as you can get it. See, like that right there would have filled up one whole dehydrator tray, and I said, there's got to be a better way to do this. Now, this is fresh or either how to preserve. Once you get this chopped, you can freeze it, okay? If you want to blanch it, it'll last longer, go on with it. Just like the radishes. Hot water, boiling water, ice water. But, guys, this right here tastes better than turnip greens by the time you get done with it. I promise you. And I was like, no, this is terrible, these radish greens. Chop them up fine. You can smell that bitter coming up. That kind of gets rid of the bitter a little bit. And what you're going to do, just ever so finely, chop them up. Now, if you wanted to dehydrate them, this is your time. You take it, spread it down on the tray, let it be. Take that, put it in a freezer bag, it's done. Okay? It's done. Or, let me show you our supper last night. So in this cast iron skillet is our supper. I put it in the fridge. I have ground venison in here. Now, what I did was I sauteed the ground venison in olive oil. I cooked it and browned it. Then I took it out of the cast iron skillet and I added the radish greens in the olive oil. Saute them. This is amazing. Now, I had a 2-pound pack of ground venison, so it was a little bit too much for this. Next time I would go lower. Saute those greens, if you can see in here. Then add corn and add an egg and scramble it, just like you're doing fried rice. You could add rice to that. That is so good. I added garlic. I even added soy sauce on mine. My husband didn't want that. He added cheese over his, and it was divine. it gives off like a nutty meat flavor. These greens do once they're cooked. It tastes totally different than what it looks like raw, what it tastes like. This is a good way to get greens and minerals in your diet, okay? So to use every little piece of this. You could do all sorts of things with these greens, but instead of just a smoothie, I can add it to supper and it's filling. Cook it just like turnip greens, okay? You could do that and have a side of this, but mixed in. And my husband is very picky and he doesn't like much green, even though we live on a homestead. He likes the corn and tomatoes. He doesn't care for greens. But he said this was great. Even some sour cream on top of this. You could make it Mexican flavored. You could make it Oriental flavored. You could do it without the meat. Yesterday for lunch, I said, let me try this. So I sauteed a handful in olive oil on medium high. They wilt down very quick. I took an egg and fried it in there with it. It was so good. A little garlic, a little ginger, and a little soy sauce on top. Oh my goodness. So good. So that's why I did the little miniature freezer packs. And they're just sandwich bags. They're not going to last long. That's why I didn't have anything else in the house to use for this size. But now they shrink quick. They're going to go quick. But hey, if I want to take one of those frozen packs and thaw it and put it in a smoothie, or just put it in a smoothie, that'll work too. I can increase versatility in what I'm eating. And this is so easy to do. So we're going to chop some more. So now if you're going to be preserving this for long term, you need to have like a vacuum sealed bag or a freezer bag. But I know this is not going to last long. And we're going to eat these within the next month or so, so it'll be totally fine. But this is how I've been filling it up. Just like that. I'm going to add some more. And then what you do is just mash it down and then close it. Okay, get it as much in there as you can to save on your bags. But take your greens. And it's beautiful, y'all. Oh, that's so beautiful. And you can get so many greens from so few radishes. I mean, really. So get them. You don't want too many at once. They're just hard to clean. They're very, very hard to clean. Take you a wad and then start chopping. If you can get them bunched together, that's even better. Take it. And you want them as fine as you can get. Or that's how I like it. You do this however you want. Just chop them up. And I've got my canning stock pot full of these greens that I've got to wash and go through. I tried to pull them up yesterday before the rain came in, and I've still got probably 100 radishes in the garden. I've got tons. So this is just a good, easy way to get greens in your diet and not throw away all the radish greens. And it really does taste good sauteed. It honestly, guys, it really does. All right, I wanted about the texture of confetti, that size. This is no trouble. It's just getting them clean. All right, so let's put that in our bag. Just like that. And it's a mess once you start chopping all this. And see, I could go even more. So you're going to have a lot of greens in just a little space. And then you'll flatten it and seal it up, label it. So I hope you all have learned ways to preserve radishes that you've never heard of today. I hope you try it. It's great stuff. It's so good for you, and it's something so easy to grow. Radishes are very, very, very easy. Wherever you are right now, you can grow radishes, so now's the time to be doing it. And I hope you've learned as well that you can use Redbud blossoms for anything that you would like as far as jelly, jam, syrup, iced tea. You can dehydrate radish greens. You can dehydrate radishes. Beautiful radishes. You can do all this stuff. You can freeze radish greens. You can saute them. I hope you've learned today. I know it's kind of a hodgepodge, redbud blossoms and radishes, but you can do stuff with things around the homestead that you've never thought before. Guess what? This lowers your grocery bill. It adds filler to your food, and it's cheap. So, as far as the radishes, they're cheap. There's a ton to a pack. Go out and plant some. In probably a month to a month and a half here, you'll have radishes. So, we'll see you guys next time on Homestead.